in many ways we are the subconscious thought of the city. People don't really notice us half the time. We're there, they expect us to be there. And I suppose we're doing our job best when we stay a subconscious thought, when people don't have to think about getting on transport. It's a very intuitive thing. But also, when we make them better, there's many parts of London where some of the London Underground stations, some of the DLR stations, some of the bus stops and some of the historic elements are part of communities. They've become part of those communities. They're historic, they're listed.
I think London, by the culture of its nation, is not about kind of large master plans. It's very much about organic growth, and in a way that has characterized and continues to characterize London as a collection of places which, as they've expanded, have kind of glued together, but each has its own identifiable place. So it's a collection of places.
What we do in Transport for London is hugely important in terms of the life of London. People don't just come here to work, they come here to live. And actually, as human beings, we want to be outside, we want to enjoy our city. So, as well as improving the urban environment through better street design, better transport, better public transport, and moving people to public transport and walking and cycling is absolutely essential. That's why TfL has such an important part in promoting London's economy and its social cohesion.
However you move in a city, it's about that experience. It's about the public spaces. That experience of moving from one part of London to another is in the end more important than any individual building. And I say that as an architect with a passion for buildings, with a passion for architecture. But that is the reality of any city, and it's the reality of London.
TfL as an organisation is fundamental to London and all its communities. People need to get to work, they need to shop, they need to move about a city. Now, the city only has so much capacity for cars, for private cars. It's easier, quicker to go by public transport, so that public transport has to move.
Environmentally, yes, use public transport, walk whenever you can, and I think this is one of the best integrated cities I've ever been in.
Well, we have to realise that transport, the connection of people, is imperative. Cities are for the meeting of people. So if we're going to meet, if you're not going to walk, and I think walking is very important, and the streets are very important, then the next thing is, or the equivalent thing is, good public transport. We've got good buses, we need to invest more in the train systems.
It's really important to us, so I'll go and talk to developers about, okay, you've helped us to get the right infrastructure in. Now I need to make sure that you're not putting us in the back alley somewhere. We need our customers to get to your development in the most appropriate way, in the safest way, in the most accessible way for as many people as we can possibly get.
I don't think it's about the big gestures. I think it's about an accumulation of a whole series of things that will make it easier to get from one place to another. And obviously improving the quality of public transport is inescapably linked into the quality of life in our capital.
Though London is dynamic, it needs to learn the lessons from sometimes smaller cities. And there are cities which have done better and which we can gain from. So you can say, Copenhagen, 30% of the people go by bicycle. If you go to Strasbourg, they use their water.
You cannot talk about transport for London without talking about infrastructure. And what do we mean about infrastructure? We mean connectivity, the ability to get from one place to another.
when you create an entity like King's Cross or a Cricklewood or any other major development, it's going to have an impact. It's a bit like dropping a pebble into a pond. There's going to be ripples. If you regard London as a still pond, as soon as you drop that ripple into it, the transport has to respond. It has to be appropriate so that it can stay efficient.
We're talking about having 100 squares in London over the next decade. Some of them classic squares like Sloane Square restored to something that people can use. Others quite small at Brixton or at Walthamstow, all over London.
London is special because it's exceedingly cosmopolitan, more cosmopolitan, I believe, than pretty well anywhere else in the world. There's a whole range of cultures and accents and languages and different hues of skin, and it's just a kind of wonderful melting pot. It's energetic, it's passionate, it's full of creativity.
I'm working with the Mayor and with the team here at the GLA, which includes, of course, Transport for London. Another thing that we're doing is we've got a design for all streets. The streets will become the most beautiful things, which they used to be.
People tend to live parallel lives, in terms of different social groups and different economic groups and different cultural groups. And I think it would improve the quality of life for everybody if people were able to interact more and just step outside their economic, cultural, social groups, and actually meet in the city. And I suppose that's where public spaces come into it.
So if I were to choose some great streets in 5 years' time, I would like to think that some of them are streets where our urban design initiative has had an effect, and you can feel proud to be there because of how it looks as well as where it is.
Also, the fact that the London Eye has been so well received is a sign that people, that London is a living, breathing city. I mean, the river is obviously why London is here in the first place. I think people are beginning to appreciate the river more than they used to, but even so, our idea is really just to kind of promote this as something that would be good for London, particularly leading up to the Olympics.
We've established a whole range of strategies to try and ensure that as London grows, it is also made more sustainable. The London Plan only came into legal effect in 2004. Since then, we've seen a 28% improvement in the sustainability of buildings in terms of their carbon emissions and so on, both with renewable energy and also just reducing the waste of energy in those buildings. We're about to increase the target for renewable energy from 10% to 20%. We've already set the target of reducing our carbon emissions by 60% by 2050. So I think in many ways we are taking a lead that many other world cities are following. After years of underinvestment, we're rushing to do the things that should have been done in the 3 decades gone. And we've got these huge pressures to cope with the increased capacity that the city needs to have for the 700,000 extra people that will be coming here shortly. And I don't want to see that as we come under those pressures, the thing we sacrifice is the quality of the architecture and the design in order just to keep everything under a very tight budgetary regime, because you'll create a city that people don't want to come to. People are coming to this city because it's both a tolerant and open city, but it's one of incredibly diverse architecture and design.
We've got a huge investment programme designed to improve public transport capacity, and we're also working really hard in terms of better management so that actually we better fulfil the requirements that London has of us to live, work and play here.